do you think Ilia beats Charles?
I think he might, to be honest. Charles is a bit chinny and he's had about 40 fights. He always gets punched. If he gets him down, we'll see him win it. That 10 pounds difference is a big difference.
Paddy Pimblett took a ruthless swipe at Ilia Topuria with a bold warning that's got Charles Oliveira's camp watching closely.
145, 155. Charles is like my height. Ilia's like down here. I'm a fan of Charles, so I think I want Charles to win, but probably better for my career if Ilia wins. Me versus Ilia. There's loads of history in it. There's bad blood. Apart from John Jones Aspinall, I think that's the biggest fight the UFC could make.
Paddy Pimblett didn't mince words when he took to Instagram after his most recent UFC win, posting a photo of his brutal head kick on Michael Chandler with the caption, "Can't wait to land one of these on El Chorizo." The message was unmistakably aimed at Ilia Topuria, rekindling a heated rivalry that's been simmering beneath the surface since their 2022 altercation at a fighter hotel. With UFC 317 drawing near and the lightweight title on the line, Pimblett's message wasn't just trash talk, it was a clear challenge to a man he deems irrelevant in the division, despite Topuria being on the cusp of becoming a two-division champion.
Ilia's like down here when I stand up, know what I mean? So it's gonna make a big difference. Like, Ilia might get a bit of a fright at how big Charles is when he stands opposite him. Fighters do that with me, who fight at lightweight. Know what I mean? I'll never forget Bobby Green looking over at me and being like, "What? He's big in." Same with Chandler. Like people thought Chandler was going to be bigger than me, and he just went.
Pimblett's recent finish over Chandler at UFC 314 has elevated him into serious title contention. Undefeated in the UFC, his ascent has been fast and loud, exactly how he likes it. But when asked about Topuria during his post-fight press conference, Paddy dismissed the former featherweight kingpin's relevance in the lightweight picture. He insisted Topuria isn't someone that matters in the title conversation, despite the fact that their paths may cross very soon. Still, his Instagram post said otherwise. Whether he views Topuria as a contender or not, Pimblett clearly wants to fight him and finish him violently.
Do you envision that being Ilia?
Yeah, I think that's the biggest, apart from John Jones Aspinall, I think that's the biggest fight the UFC could make. Me versus Ilia. There's loads of history in it. Like, there's bad blood. People love all that.
When you actually think back to the altercation in the London hotel, from that moment to actually leading us to a lightweight world title fight, I mean, that is a crazy narrative, isn't it?
Their history adds spice to an already compelling potential matchup. Though they briefly shared a civil moment while cornering teammates at UFC 312, the tension between them hasn't disappeared. In fact, it's intensified, with Pimblett nearing a title shot and Topuria about to headline UFC 317 in a bout for the vacant lightweight strap. Their collision course seems inevitable.
You were like beefing with like Paddy the Baddy.
Quality of the fighter he is, man, come on, please. Don't even compare me to that boom, because we are on different levels and everyone can see that.
Trees well.
Disrespectful to me, to my country, to all my people. And he said something, now I understand why the Russians put the bombs in Georgia. When you start to joke about that kind of things, just make sure that we don't find each other anywhere, because I'm gonna take your fucking head off. He wants to build his hype laughing on people. And that's not the way I'm looking to throw the hat.
Topuria, who hasn't fought since knocking out Max Holloway at UFC 308, is preparing for his next big moment. He's set to face Charles Oliveira on June 28th in Las Vegas for the lightweight title left open by Islam Makhachev's move to welterweight. Topuria made his name in the featherweight division by handing Holloway and Alexander Volkanovski their first ever knockout losses at 145 pounds. His unbeaten record of 16-0 has made him a feared figure across two divisions, but moving up in weight comes with risks, and Pimblett was quick to point those out.
It's probably better for me if Ilia wins the belt, lad, because he'll probably call me out.
Yeah, that's.
And then I could just fight him. Might even have to fight KG.
Disrespectful to me, to my country, to all my people, and he just behaved like a fucking idiot, you know? He started to talk about the war we had against Russia. He said something, now I understand why the Russians put the bombs in Georgia, and many kids died in that war. Many people died in that war. When you start to joke about that kind of things, just make sure that we don't find each other anywhere, because I'm gonna take your head off. He wants to build his hype laughing on people, and that's not the way I'm looking to build a hype. Bro, I'm never looking for a problem, but if the problem comes to me, I say no fucking problem.
Speaking to TNT Sports, Pimblett downplayed Topuria's chances at lightweight. While he acknowledged Topuria's knockout power and Oliveira's tendency to get dropped in fights, he argued that size is an underrated factor in this equation. The 10-pound jump from 145 to 155 pounds, he claimed, is more significant than fans or even other fighters may realize. Pimblett referenced his own fights against Michael Chandler and Bobby Green, noting how visibly shocked they were by his size. According to him, Topuria will feel that same surprise when he steps into the octagon with a true lightweight like Oliveira, or perhaps Pimblett himself.
I guess where does he fit, and like how do you see you two crossing paths? Because right now it just seems like, at least in the immediate future, he's not in your plans. Maybe I'm wrong, but I guess where does he fit in this whole picture?
To be honest, I forgot about him. I forgot all about him, or I would have mentioned him in the cage. You know what I mean? I don't call him hand sanitizer boy anymore. He's now El Chorizo. But as I say, I literally forgot all about him. That's how irrelevant he is. I'm ranked higher than he is at lightweight. So, you know, I'd love to welcome him to 155. But apparently he's sitting out and waiting for the title shot. But, you know, that what I've just done to Chandler's after blueprint to beating him. He's even more of a midget than Chandler is. Like, I'll do the exact same thing to Ilia than what I've done to Chandler.
From Pimblett's perspective, Topuria might be walking into a trap. He may feel more powerful at 155 pounds, but standing across from Oliveira could be a wake-up call. Pimblett even compared their heights, pointing out that while he and Oliveira are roughly the same size, Topuria is noticeably smaller. This could present major problems for the Georgian-Spanish fighter when dealing with the physicality of the division's top names.
What about Ilia? Because he's moving up to 155, right?
Yeah, always.
And you guys have a long history.
Yeah.
That press conference 2 years ago was one of the most fucking entertaining press conferences of all time. Your chirps, like calling him like a fucking chorizo sausage and shit.
That's what he should have changed his name to,
It
lad.
was funny.
He's changed his nickname to a shit nickname, hasn't he? Like Legend or something.
Yeah.
Should have changed it to El Chorizo. Would have been well funnier.
What do you make of his like evolvement? Because that was a long time ago, and now he's kind of fucking leveled up like
Yeah,
crazy,
he has.
right?
But we always knew he was a good fighter. Know what I mean? Like, that's sort of what pisses me off about him. Even though I hate him and I think he's a bellend, like, I wouldn't lie and say he's a shit fighter, because he's not. But that's what he says about me. And it made me laugh when he said, what did he say? He called me fat. That's like, lad, you can't make your weight division anymore that you are champion of, and you're trying to call me fat.
Despite these questions, Topuria's leap to a higher division puts him in the company of legendary fighters who've attempted similar feats. Conor McGregor famously succeeded, winning the lightweight title with a dominant performance against Eddie Alvarez. On the other hand, Alexander Volkanovski and Max Holloway both came up short when they tried to conquer the 155-pound division. Volkanovski lost twice to Islam Makhachev, and Holloway was outmatched by Dustin Poirier. Topuria now stands on the edge of making his own history, but as Pimblett warns, it may not be the walk in the park that some expect.
Yeah, so dangerous. When he hits you, it's different than anybody, especially with his hands. He's just boxing is so high level. So Ilia has superior technique. His hooks are perfect. His distance management is perfect. He's just really good. And he's the new guard, right? Like every generation comes up with a new guy who's a new high water mark of technique. He doesn't have any disadvantages. He doesn't have any weaknesses, man. There's people that are thinking maybe he's the best pound fighter alive. Close. He might be the best.
In the lead up to UFC 317, others have weighed in on the potential outcome of Topuria versus Oliveira. Former bantamweight champion Aljamain Sterling offered his thoughts on the matter and highlighted the dangers both fighters bring. He acknowledged Oliveira's elite grappling and submission game. He holds the record for most submissions in UFC history with 16, as well as Topuria's devastating knockout ability.
I like Ilia in this one. I don't know. But it's hard to count out Duboa. Duboa is, I still think he's him. But then I said that about Max. I said that about Volk. And I'm not saying that those guys were going to win against Ilia, but you say that those guys are still them, and then Ilia goes out and does that to them. You're like, fuck. I don't know. It's like, who's stopping this guy?
Sterling expressed concerns about Oliveira's habit of getting dropped, a vulnerability that Topuria could exploit. Though Oliveira has managed to bounce back in the past and turn the tables with his aggression and slick submissions, Sterling questioned whether that approach would work against someone like Topuria, who has shown the ability to finish even the most durable fighters. Sterling noted that Topuria has already proven his resilience. He was dropped once by Jai Herbert in his lightweight debut, but came back to win. Since then, he has claimed his power translates even better at 155. That's a scary thought for anyone standing across the cage. Sterling wondered how Oliveira would respond if he got hurt early, and whether he could force a grappling exchange that might change the pace and sap some of Topuria's explosiveness. It's a big unknown. No one has really pushed Topuria's grappling defense to the limit yet.
Plus, like, where's Oliveira better than Ilia? Well, the jiu-jitsu. But, like, where is Oliveira, like, the much better fighter?
I don't know. Maybe the grappling department.
Is he much better, though?
I don't know. We haven't really seen Ilia's grappling, so it's really hard to say. I mean, he got that one choke against Bryce Mitchell. But outside of that, I mean, he had a little bit of a grappling exchange, but it was a short notice fight against Yusuf Zalal in his debut. And that was a really close fight, a little bit of some back and forth. But where Oliveira is the best, I think, is his grappling. But he's also relies so much on his toughness, his chin, willing to go forward, step into the fire, willing to take one and give one. But I don't know if Ilia is the guy you want to take one to give one with. That's just not this just doesn't seem like the guy you want to exchange punches with.
There's also the question of Oliveira's consistency. He's just 2-2 in his last 4 fights, after a legendary 11-fight win streak that saw him submit and stop some of the toughest men in the sport. Even in defeat, though, he's never been an easy out. But now at 35, with a younger, undefeated opponent in front of him, Oliveira will need to bring a complete and composed performance to reclaim the lightweight belt.
If Ilia Topuria fights Charles Oliveira on a pay-per-view, that's a big deal. Oh, it's going to be bigger. They don't need to wait for an interim belt. They don't need to wait for an undisputed. So, yeah. I don't know how he's going to do it lightweight, though. Maybe you can speak on that. I think smaller guy coming up.
It's a smaller coming up. It'll be interesting because he is bigger from when I heard him on the Joe Rogan podcast.
Yeah.
191, I think he was walking around. It's massive.
It is.
So for him to cut to 145 seems almost like, how did he do that?
Yep.
But now that he's going up to 155, I always like when athletes go up.
Meanwhile, Topuria has other plans should he win at UFC 317. He's already stated that he wouldn't offer Islam Makhachev an immediate shot at reclaiming the belt if he returns to the division. Makhachev recently shifted focus to welterweight and is expected to challenge Jack Della Maddalena later this year. Topuria's refusal to grant him a title shot may be rooted in Makhachev's past hesitation to face him.
Bueno, en primer lugar agradecerle a Charles, la verdad, por haber aceptado el reto, ¿no? Algo que Islam no hizo y tiene que pagar el precio por Islam. Me da mucha pena por Charles, pero bueno, al final del día es mi trabajo. Voy a cumplir otro sueño más que siempre tuve, que era convertirme en campeón de otra división más, por lo que el resultado será el mismo de siempre, salir victorioso y seguir con el invicto.
That decision could shake up the title picture, opening the door for fighters like Paddy Pimblett or even Justin Gaethje, who's also in the mix. Gaethje, a former interim champion, has been positioning himself for another shot at the undisputed title. He was set to face Dan Hooker, but when Hooker pulled out, Gaethje stepped in on short notice to fight Rafael Fiziev at UFC 313. According to his manager, Ali Abdelaziz, Gaethje deserves to face the winner of Topuria versus Oliveira based on his body of work and willingness to fight anyone, anytime.
Islam did everything you could do to avoid that fight. That's just the truth, guys. That's just what happened. I know Islam. Like Islam a lot. It's still what happened. Islam did everything you could conceivably do to not fight Ilia, including leave the division, including leave the championship. Hey, if you don't fight this guy, we're going to strip you of your championship. Strip me of my championship. There is nothing in our industry that is a stronger way to get away from somebody than to leave the division and even leave the championship behind. You can't paint the credit on Islam for moving up to 170 in a hand-picked match
Abdelaziz argued that Gaethje has been overlooked, especially considering that he knocked out Dustin Poirier, while Poirier was later granted a title shot. Gaethje, he said, has done everything the UFC asked of him, even taking fights on short notice for the good of events. If the promotion is being fair, he should be next in line. If not a title shot, Gaethje could find himself in a high-profile contender bout. Options include a potential scrap with Pimblett, who recently called him out, or Arman Sarukian, another rising star in the division. Abdelaziz said Gaethje is open to any challenge as long as the matchup makes sense and keeps him in the title conversation.
So for me, it's this. I think it's Gaethje. I think that makes a ton of sense to me because Gaethje's that big name. And if Justin Gaethje fights Islam Makhachev for the championship, that's it if he loses. So many guys have had their chances. Dustin Poirier's fought for the belt against Khabib. Dustin Poirier fought for the belt against Charles Oliveira. Dustin Poirier fought for the belt against Islam Makhachev.
Still, the most intriguing storyline remains the looming clash between Pimblett and Topuria. Their past encounter turned physical years ago, but the animosity has clearly not faded. If Topuria wins at UFC 317 and becomes a two-division champion, a showdown with Pimblett could be one of the biggest grudge matches in recent UFC history. Pimblett's rise has been polarizing, but undeniably effective. His star power and unbeaten UFC streak make him an ideal foil to Topuria's cold, technical style and unbeaten record.
Charles Oliveira has been dropped by just about everybody that he's fought. What happens when you go up against a dude that's knocking people out, not TKOing people, knocking people out cold like Ilia Topuria? Ilia Topuria goes high-low. He can go to the body. He can go up top. We saw him one time at 155 pounds where he did get hurt, but the matador in him, he came back and he ended up knocking him out. Charles Oliveira is the bigger fighter, taking down Michael Chandler, taking down Justin Gaethje with those beautiful double legs. Charles Oliveira is the guy that has to make those adjustments. If not, it's going to be the double champ. It's going to be Ilia Topuria securing himself as a two-division world champion.
Ilia versus Charles Bronx Oliveira. We know Charles, he's a dangerous, aggressive son of a bitch. Gonna walk forward, put up his knees, elbows, he'll lock on a submission. Ilia, this is his first fight at lightweight, and with the punching power on Ilia Topuria, the boxing that he has, the footwork that he has, and the Greco-Roman wrestling, it wouldn't surprise me if Ilia pulls it off.
While the lightweight division braces for its next chapter, the stage is set for chaos and drama. Whether it's Oliveira reclaiming his throne, Topuria etching his name into the two-division champion list, Gaethje staking his claim, or Pimblett setting up another war of words turned real, UFC fans are in for a wild ride this summer. One thing is certain, the lightweight division isn't short on killers, personalities, or storylines. And with Pimblett making noise, Topuria poised for history, and Oliveira determined to remind the world of his greatness, the crown at 155 pounds has never felt more valuable or more vulnerable.